as Mr. Gavaskar is telling us, that there is going to be uncertainty around the weather. But Saibai, if that happens or not is beyond our control. But that's no excuse for the insipid batting performance that we saw from the Indian team on day 3. What do you think is the prime reason behind that? Is it that intent word that we oftentimes hear from this Indian batting, which they've done rather well when you've played, test matches at home, but that same kind of intent and trying to get a lot of runs under your belt rather quickly, is that one of the major reasons why we are in the position that we are?
Yes, I think so. I think you're absolutely right. I think the intent to score runs has always got to be there. That's what batting is all about. That batting is all about going out and scoring runs. But the intent also has to be to stay at the crease. Because you stay at the crease, the runs will automatically come. And I think that's where the Indians failed. A couple of the shots that we saw today, in fact, 3 shots that we saw today were pretty forgettable shots. And so I think that the remaining batters have got to learn from what mistakes that the 3 dismissal that they've seen and try and make sure that they get to 246.
Saiva, I'm going to talk about, there have been 4 dismissals already, but of course the biggest one that is being spoken about here in India is the star of the show in Virat Kohli. Why his mode of dismissal is being discussed? Because, in 5 odd innings so far, 4 times he's been dismissed in similar fashion. Does it take you back to his troubles against ball outside the off stump, to that England tour of 2014?
Yes, to an extent it does, because, that time he was a relative newcomer. He'd been in international cricket for a couple of years, and he had no experience of playing in England. Jimmy Anderson was really making the ball swing and talk. So it was difficult for him to face up to Broad and Anderson. And so he was chasing deliveries outside the off stump. That's exactly what he did today. And I think that is one of the reasons why India finds itself in a position like this. Because really, if he had got a few runs, then India could well have been maybe about 70 or 80 for just 2 wickets and would be in a much happier position.
If he needs any sort of inspiration, Virat Kohli, though we always know he's fired up whenever he's wearing the India colours. I was just looking at some numbers of Steve Smith. He also came into this game, without too much form, but till the time he got to his 50, he did not play a single scoring shot in the covers area. Did not get any runs there. After he went past his 50, he got runs from that cover area. And that's been the area. We know that Sachin Tendulkar famously did that too in the Sydney Test match in Australia. Do you think these are the things that he can look at to inspire himself, or at least curtail those shots outside the off stump?
Yes, I think that's what he should be looking at. Look, you don't always learn from your former teammates. You learn from the opposition. That is something that Bumrah does so well. Bumrah, looks at the opposition bowlers, the new ball bowlers, and how they're using the new ball, how they're using the pitch, how they're using the conditions, and then tries to bowl accordingly. I think similarly, look, the first the 3 dismissal that Kohli has had before this, they were out to good deliveries. He was out to good deliveries. You can't find fault with anything that he did. But this one, here he changed the delivery way outside the off stump, almost on the 6th or 7th stump, which is, and even before that, when Stark bowled one across, angled one across him, he chased at that. So I think it is something where he's got to say to himself that, look, hang on a minute, I'm not going to be playing any cover drive. I'm not going to play any extra cover drive, like Tendulkar did in 2007-8, where he did not play anything on the offside at all. All that he did was play straight and play towards onside. So maybe if Kohli can take a leaf out of Tendulkar's book, and Tendulkar has been somebody who he has admired greatly, then I think it might be a chance for him to make sure that in the next 2 matches he gets big runs again.
A word on KL Rahul, Sanibai. He's clearly looked head and shoulders above everyone else. What is it that KL Rahul is doing right, which the rest of the Indian batters aren't?
He's very still. He's very still at the crease. It doesn't really, yes, there is a little trigger movement, but he's very, very still. His head is very upright, and that's the reason why he's able to judge where the off stump is and leave a lot of deliveries outside the off stump. And that's, I think, so essential. When the ball is hard and new, when the bowlers are on top, you need to give the bowlers that respect for the first half an hour, 45 minutes, because then the next 5 hours can be yours.
Okay, finally, Saimai, before we let you go, a word on Shubman Gill. I know that, this year has been rather good to him, but overall, most of those runs have come, in India. But looking at some other stats, the last time he played a noteworthy innings overseas, especially out of Asia, was that 90-odd that he got in Gabba. Now, that's been a long time. Ever since that, he's gone on to play more than 10 innings, but scores have been 10, 12, 15. So that overseas kind of runs that you expect from a talented batter as Shubman aren't coming. Is it high time that, probably questions will be asked of him, especially in terms of his performance in overseas test matches?
I don't think so, because he's one of our brightest stars. I think he made a mistake today and he got out. I think it's something that he'll realize. But I don't think we should be too harsh on some of our youngsters. Yes, while we were doing commentary, I was a little bit tough on some of the shots that we saw. Jaiswal's shot of the second ball that he faced, then Shubman Gill's shot. I was a little bit harsh. But, now that I've had a little time to think about it, I think we should give the youngsters a little bit of allowance to make mistakes. How are they going to learn otherwise? And therefore, I think hopefully for the second innings and for the next 4 innings that they're there, they'll be able to deliver more than what they've done in this game.